Once again, greetings everyone. This comes from the Reddit forum, r/relationship_advice, titled, Caught Wife Cheating. Now what about her kids? By user What About the Kids? Now, let's dive right into this. Dr. Caught straw cheating with ex. I have bonded with her kids, what to do with them? Really long sorry. Had to get it out. I, 52 male, lost my first wife 10 years ago. At the time 2 daughters were now 21 and 24. Life went on after about 3 years. I met my current wife, 38. Met innocently enough. Basically kept bumping into her at various places around town. Never really talked, sometimes made eye contact, we would point at each other at a distance and just smile. Then one day getting my car worked on, she walked into the waiting room, while hers was worked on also. So we finally had a long conversation. We went across the street to get real coffee, as service centers were bad. We talked for about an hour, then I was paged and mine was done. I asked if she would like to have lunch for one day to continue talking. We exchanged numbers and a day to meet up. We dated for 2 years, then married. She has 2 boys now 10 and 14. They moved into my house and have been living with her parents for 3 years. My girls loved her, not as a stepmom but as a big sister. Although having another adult in the house with 2 teenage girls was a blessing. Life is grand. I love those boys as if we're my own. I want to adopt them when they can make a decision on their own. The little one calls me dad. The older it was awkward, I told him to call me what he felt comfortable, my first name. The girls called her by her name. Wife is Sam. We decided until the kids were adjusted. Now she doesn't want to work but does volunteer at school lunch and other things. Daughter 1 goes off to college, and is now graduated. My younger daughter graduated this past morning. We are moving the rest of her things this weekend. I was told her ex abandoned them about the time baby number 2 came along and has been no contact since. Her mom is very nice but holds me at arm's length. He is an alpha dog. I don't think he wanted anyone else taking care of his daughter, only child, and grandkids. He would berate me because I was too old, not much younger than them. This would be any time I was around them. I am non-confrontational, so I told my wife I would just stay away from them. I did encourage her to continue the relationship, as they only live a couple blocks away. February this year her ex reappears, wanting to be in their lives. He is sketchy at best. I cannot refuse this. He starts coming around often. I set a boundary that he comes on weekends so as not to interfere with school and we can control his visitation somewhat. He comes most weekends, but really spends little time alone with the kids as we try to give him space. I ask wife if he made any child support payments while he was gone. No. I suggested to her to talk to him about getting caught up with whatever he owes and to ask about signing over rights so I could adopt. She said she would talk to him. First part of March our sex life starts to dive. You know where this is going, right? But I am oblivious. I mentioned to my wife, she has the usual excuses. I notice little things around the house are different. My favorite snacks are gone. Missing a few beers, not a big drinker, just one every now and then. But the big one was I could smell what I thought was weed. I asked my wife if she was smoking, as we don't, she hasn't. I thought he was 14-year-old was, suggested we talk with him. She says she would handle it. About 2 weeks ago, my 14-year-old asked me if I love mom. I said yes, thinking he has a girlfriend. Time for a talk, right? He says that we always sat together and were touching each other some way or other. This made him feel good. He asks if mom loved his dad. I responded that sure on some level she does, why asking? He replies that they are always looking at each other, talking and touching. And he is over all the time. I asked what he meant by all the time. Almost every day when they get home from school he is there then leaves. That weekend I am in the living room, he is over for visitation. He comes in and sits down across from me with a beer. I look up from my reading, and tell him to help himself to a beer. He says nothing. I ask why he isn't with the kids. I could hear laughing coming from the family room. He said he might go in a little bit. I tell him I will not drink in front of the kids. I wait until after they are in bed. He says nothing. He then states, you know I am only here for her. What does that mean? You're talking about my wife. He says technically not divorced, he never signed papers, so she is his wife. I know a judge signed off on divorce because he could not be found. That's why it took longer to divorce. I finally asked about the child support, since I never heard back. He just looked at me and said that he was caught up, and paid her $15,000 in cash. WTF. I asked them if she'd talked to him about giving up rights, never asked. He asked what it would be worth to me. I said you got to be kidding, you would sell your kids. Before he could answer I told him to leave. The next day, this past Sunday the kids were at grandma and grandpa with wife. I bought and installed a camera. I put it on top of the TV. Very small. It has a view of the front door and living room. Motion activated. Nothing unusual until Wednesday about 10 a.m. I get an alert on my phone when the camera activates. So I am at work. I get a notice, figure it's the wife cleaning up, I look anyway. He comes back. She lets him kiss, long. He starts grabbing at her and she playfully pushes away, they are laughing, no sound. He sits on the couch and she brings him a beer and snacks. 10 a.m. She disappears. She is back a few minutes later, clothes changed, she is going to school for lunch. They're talking. More grabbing, more pushing away, laughing. A few minutes later she is up getting ready to leave. He gets up and grabs her again. Making some gestures, then poses like he is praying, hands together. They sit down again and she gives him head. She finishes up, goes out of range. Come back, say something then leave. He then watches TV, then he takes a nap. Screen eventually goes blank. A little after 1 p.m. another alert, she is home. They talk, they both leave room. I know they are headed to the bedroom. I race home and find them. They never heard me coming. There are the hysterics you would expect. He slithers out. I tell her she has to go. She pleads it was a one-time mistake, he had just got there. She was lonely because we weren't having sex, etc. I called Bees. I asked how often he came over, just on the weekends. This was an anomaly. I showed the video of him napping. She said he was tired and asked. Then I showed her the BJ. She had nothing to say. I told her to pack her bags when she is out. I left and called her dad to take them in because we were having issues. He of course takes the alpha position, telling me how I would screw this up, yada yada. I couldn't get a word in. Finally I stopped him, asked again and he said yes, then started on me again. I had enough. I said I would send him something. I sent the video edited down to BJ. I told him to view and call me back if I was wrong. Never heard back. Talked to a lawyer Thursday. He helped with the estate plan after first wife. Referred me to a partner who does family law on Tuesday. Divorce will happen. He felt but did not know for sure that I would be on the hook for support for kids. No alimony since she broke our prenup. I made it up before marriage in addition to an estate plan to protect my girls. I don't care about the support, I'm glad to do it. It's the boys. So my question or advice needed: has anyone else been through divorce and was able to see their ex's kids even if they are not yours? How did that go? The 14 years old is partially vulnerable as he will be in HS next year, formative years. I don't want to see him go down the tube and turn out like dad. Thanks to all in advance. Mobiek said, I'm so sorry, this sounds awful. I have a feeling that your wife was hiding him for longer than you think. But what kind of trashy family is giving you shit when their daughter is the one that messed up? Unfortunately, you got caught in a situation that had relatively high risk from the start. May I advise you not to give any money if they are not your kids. She won't use it for the boys. She is most likely to spend it with that joke of a man. So, what's the situation now? Is she still begging you? What about the kids? Said, I have no contact. Too busy with daughter grad this weekend anyways. Won't talk until I get the legal advice Tuesday. Thanks for your advice. Deleted user said, if you do end up with having to pay some kind of support, you may want to be sure you get some visitation. Would help the boys to see you. What about the kids? Said, yes thank you, plus they are only a couple blocks away. Roman Samurai said, sorry this happened to you brother. Has she been trying to contact you? What about the kids? Said, I am no contact, blocked her hash. Plus being away this weekend for my daughter's graduation. Thinking I should have changed locks. Not so much her but him. Did not see anything wrong when I got home. Quote, Roman Samurai said, okay good. You're a good guy. A good father to her kids. I'm so sorry this happened. Let us know how it works out. We're here all rooting for you brother. And if you need to talk or just vent, my inbox is always open. What about the kids? Said, thank. Moreover said, why did you agree to her ex coming to the house? Quote, what about the kids? Said, he was a stranger to the kids, we could supervise the visitation. I never felt we could leave alone. Quote, Z Magu said, maybe you could directly give them money if you wanted to? Or create a savings account for them they could use when they turn 18. Giving it to your soon-to-be ex-wife would be a bad idea all around. Especially when the kid's dad could have access to it through her. Anyways, I get into contact with the boys again first. See if you'd be able to keep seeing the kids. Also, you might want to keep an eye out for potential dangerous situations or a bad environment the boys could be placed in. Drinking and smoking weed is not a good sign, and if their dad keeps coming over to do that, amongst other things, it won't be a good environment to let the boys grow up in, and even grounds to call CPS if she allows him to do that around the kids. Legal advice is definitely needed in this case, not only regarding the divorce but also regarding the kids. Don't pay a penny to her though. Don't give her any access to it. Maybe you can make an agreement with her and the boys so you can keep seeing them if they want to. If there are any grounds to want to take them out of the situation they are in, which I personally think there are, seek legal advice and perhaps file for custody. Edit. To clarify, by giving them directly money I meant to put it in their bank account if they have one and their mother has no access to said account. I've had my own brother steal cash money from me a few times. You can never be too careful, emo. You just never know. She could use it for her personal use if she has access to it or for their biological father. What about the kids said, I had set up acts for college to get her off those acts. Thanks for the reminder. Schwamps said, I hope everything went okay with the family lawyer on Tuesday. What about the kids said, going to give first face-to-face Thursday. Try to come to a mutual agreement on things before lawyers get involved. Meeting with my lawyer was very insightful, never been through something like this. Thanks for checking up on me. Quote. Z Magu said, maybe you could directly give them money if you wanted to? Or create a savings account for them they could use when they turn 18. Giving it to your soon-to-be ex-wife would be a bad idea all around. Especially when the kid's dad could have access to it through her. Anyways, I get into contact with the boys again first. See if you'd be able to keep seeing the kids. Also, you might want to keep an eye out for potential dangerous situations or a bad environment the boys could be placed in. Drinking and smoking weed is not a good sign, and if their dad keeps coming over to do that, amongst other things, it won't be a good environment to let the boys grow up in, and even grounds to call CPS if she allows him to do that around the kids. Legal advice is definitely needed in this case, not only regarding the divorce but also regarding the kids. Don't pay a penny to her though. Don't give her any access to it. Maybe you can make an agreement with her and the boys so you can keep seeing them if they want to. If there are any grounds to want to take them out of the situation they are in, which I personally think there are, seek legal advice and perhaps file for custody. Edit. To clarify, by giving them directly money I meant to put it in their bank account if they have one and their mother has no access to said account. I've had my own brother steal cash money from me a few times. You can never be too careful, emo. You just never know. She could use it for her personal use if she has access to it or for their biological father. What about the kids said, I had set up acts for college to get her off those acts. Thanks for the reminder. Schwamps said, I hope everything went okay with the family lawyer on Tuesday. What about the kids said, going to give first face-to-face Thursday. Try to come to a mutual agreement on things before lawyers get involved. Meeting with my lawyer was very insightful, never been through something like this. Thanks for checking up on me. Quote. Brooklyn Dude 83 said, a question I haven't seen so far. How do you truly feel right now if you just stop for a second? What are your emotions toward this woman, her ex, about yourself and the situation? Quote. What about the kids said, I am exhausted. We will still have to function as a family broken as it is. We will see each other at events like the ball games and soccer. We will still have to discuss school. I have not thought far enough ahead how the whole family dynamic will work. Some of it will be a work in progress. The couple times we have been in proximity of each other I don't feel love but I can't berate her for the boys' sake. We just have to work together for them but contact will be limited to that. I know there will be no late night chats etc. Thanks to you all. My condolences to you OP for the death of your first wife. OP, you are a simple man who just wants to move on and just have a simple life after what happened to you. I hope the divorce works in your favor and you get to still see the boys, regardless if you are the biological father or not. You provide for them, you should still have a right to see them. Although I know nothing about this, based on the law. I hope this works out though. What can I say? Cheaters always have trivial BS to cover their behind, and waste our time with pure nonsense when we already have proof of their infidelity. This is something in life will never change. OP is smart for having a prenup, and to be honest, I think that most marriages should have one now. But this is just my opinion.